Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the hidden strategy that turned companies like Amazon and Microsoft into the absolute giants that shape our world. You see, it's all about a fundamental shift, a move from pipes to platforms. And trust me, it changed everything.
So you look at these three companies, and yeah, on the surface, they sell computers, software, and, well, pretty much everything under the sun. But their real genius wasn't just in what they sold, it was in how they built their businesses. You see, they didn't just play the game better than everyone else, they completely rewrote the rulebook. And to really get what they did, we first need to wrap our heads around this one massive shift, the move away from a traditional, straight-line business model to a dynamic, networked one. Okay. So in the old world, business was basically a pipe. Think about a classic car company, right? They design a car, they build it, and they push it down the pipe to a customer. It's a one-way street. But today's giants, they're platforms. They don't just make stuff. They build these incredible networks that connect people. The value isn't just in the product anymore. It's created by all the interactions happening on the platform itself.
So for our first lesson, we're going to rewind the clock a bit to a company that mastered this new way of thinking way before almost anyone else. They did it by treating information as their most valuable asset. I'm talking about Dell.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This quote seems kind of funny, right? Technology is like bananas. What on earth does a computer have in common with a piece of fruit? Well, it turns out this quirky little idea was the absolute core of Dell's entire strategy. The answer is, they both perish. A banana rots, obviously, but a computer component, it becomes obsolete. It loses its value. And Dell actually calculated this depreciation at about 0.8% per week. So every single day a component just sat in a warehouse, it was literally costing them money. Inventory wasn't just a box on a shelf, it was a ticking financial clock. And right here, you can see Dell's massive competitive edge in action. Because they built computers to order, they held just 5 days of inventory. Meanwhile, their main competitor, HP, was holding 55 days worth. I mean, that is a colossal difference.
That huge gap in inventory gave Dell a 5.6% cost advantage over its rival. Think about that for a second. Before a single dollar was spent on advertising, before they even debated a new feature, Dell was already winning on pure data-driven efficiency.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, they basically weaponized information. The second you placed an order online, it kicked off their entire supply chain. But here's the real magic. They took your money from your credit card immediately, but then they waited weeks to pay their own suppliers. This meant they were effectively using their suppliers' cash for free to fund their own operations and growth. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so while Dell was mastering its internal operations, the inside game, our next lesson comes from a company that focused outward. They didn't just want to perfect their company, they wanted to master their entire market. Let's talk about Microsoft. This was Microsoft's core belief, their mantra. They knew that winning in the long run wasn't just about having better ads or a bigger marketing budget. No, it was about becoming the gravitational center of the entire PC industry. It was about managing the market itself. And to do this, they embraced this really powerful idea called co-opetition. It's exactly what it sounds like, cooperating with your competitors. For example, a company called Novell had the leading word processor at the time. They were a direct rival. But they were also building versions of their software for Windows. Just think about that. Your biggest rival is actively helping make your platform more valuable to customers. This strategy created a completely unstoppable ecosystem. You had hardware makers like Dell and HP pre-installing Windows, you had chip makers like Intel optimizing their chips for it, and crucially, you had tons of software developers building for Windows because, well, that's where all the users were. And this created this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle, what we call a network effect. It's a simple feedback loop. The more software that was available for Windows, the more valuable Windows became for users, and the more users it got, the more it attracted even more software developers. You see, Microsoft's true value wasn't just in the Windows software itself. It was in the total value of everything built on top of it. All right, so Dell taught us all about data-driven efficiency, and Microsoft showed us the raw power of building an ecosystem. Now, let's look at how today's titans will basically smash these two lessons together to create entirely new empires. Just look at Amazon. It started as an online bookstore, right? A simple e-commerce platform. But the incredible tech infrastructure they built for themselves, that became a product they could sell to others, Amazon Web Services, which is now a monster in cloud computing. Their huge customer base, That became the built-in audience for Prime Video. And that whole ecosystem is now the launchpad for their move into healthcare. You see the pattern? Each new business is built directly on the foundation of the last.
And you know what? It's the exact same playbook used by giants all over the world, like China's Alipay. They started by building a core payment network, and once that platform became totally essential, they used it to expand into new countries and new services. The key insight is so simple but so powerful. They didn't just build one product, they built a foundation for constant, relentless expansion.
And this, right here, is the ultimate synthesis. These modern titans, they fuse Dell's obsessive data-driven efficiency with Microsoft's ecosystem strategy. For them, data and networks aren't just tools to make things run a little bit better. They are the strategic assets they use to build brand new empires from scratch.
So this is it. This is the new playbook. First, you've got to shift your thinking from those old linear pipes to dynamic, networked platforms. Second, you have to use data as a weapon, not just as a tool for efficiency. Third, you got to understand that your success depends on the strength of your entire ecosystem, not just your own company. And finally, you have to build your platform to be a launchpad for your next big move into new markets.
This is the blueprint that has defined the most successful companies of the last 2 decades. And it leaves us with one final, really crucial question to think about. If data truly is the new oil, the world's most valuable resource, who out there is building the next generation of engines that will run on it?